In this video, we ended up with this raw data table, and our task is to get the sales by customer, product category, and their percentage of total sales. Don't panic. With pivot tables, it's so easy. It will give you quick insight to your dataset, fast way to have those reports up and running, and it's done with a few clicks. Let's jump into the world of pivot tables. Hello everyone, welcome to morethanexcel.com. My name is Mahmoud Basyouni. If you just joined us, please subscribe or follow our pages, and surely do not forget to like our content. Now let's talk about Excel pivot tables. I just received this raw data. Before starting, I need to make sure that my data is presented in a tabular format. What does tabular format means? It means that all columns should have header. Empty columns or rows are not allowed, and it should not have total and subtotals. Once the above checked, all what we need to do is to select the entire dataset. We just need to click anywhere in the dataset and press Ctrl A. Then go to Insert tab and press Pivot Tables. The box that appeared shows the range selected, but it is hard-coded, which means that if I extend my data in the future, I need to manually upgrade the range. It also asks me where I want to place my pivot table, in a new worksheet or an existing one. That is our first option, but the right way to do it is to turn my dataset into a table. Let's close this box to show you how to do it. Just click anywhere in your dataset, go to Insert, then click on Table. Or we can use the shortcut Ctrl-T. Excel will automatically detect that your dataset has headers. If it doesn't, make sure to check the box My Table has headers. Once the table is created, a new tab is added that is called Table Design. The design has been changed to the default style. Personally, I prefer having a simpler original style. I do it by clicking Table Styles and choosing the top left style. As a pro advice, take the habit of naming your table with a significant name. It avoids confusion in the future. To rename it, we just type the name we want in table name. I will call our table Sales USD. Once our table has been created, we can create our pivot table by clicking Summarize with Pivot Table. The same box reappears, but the range now is the name of our table. I also like renaming and coloring my worksheets. It avoids confusions for other users, and it shows by color coding what is my data. In my case, I will rename my raw dataset worksheet as Sales USD and my pivot table worksheet as Summary. I also change Sales USD color to black as Do Not Touch, and my summary worksheet to green. This is where you need to look. Another way to insert pivot table is to try the recommended pivot table in the Insert tab. Click anywhere in your dataset table, go to Insert, click on Recommended Pivot Tables. Excel will give me a bunch of suggestions on most applicable pivot tables, like sum of sales USD by region, sum of quantity by region, count of sales document by category or by branch code. Those suggestions are based on whatever your data contains. Let's go back to the newly created summary sheet. On the right, I have the field list split into 5 sections. First one is pivot table fields. If we take a closer look, they are the same headers of our dataset. Second one is filters. Third one is columns. Fourth one is rows. And fifth one is values. We will talk about their usage in the coming moments. If I click on the gear, I will have layout options of my field list. I prefer having my pivot table fields on the left to be able to see all my fields. On the left, my pivot table still empty, and it is showing me how to start. I also have 2 new tabs, Pivot Table Analyze and Design. Now let's start with the first report I am supposed to present. I want to have sales by customers. So I go to the pivot table fields I drag and drop my customer name in the rows section, or just check the box next to the customer name. Excel took the distinct list of my customers and put them in the pivot table. Now I drag and drop sales USD in the value section, and here you go. You just created your first pivot table that shows sales USD by customer. Since the sales USD column contains only numbers, pivot table values automatically summarize it as sum of sales USD. But we can also have other formulas applied. If we click on the small arrow that is on the field in the value section, and then click Value Field Settings, I can choose how my data is summarized. I have count, average, maximum, minimum. Now I will choose average. And now I have the average of sales by customer showed in my pivot table. There is also other way to access value field settings. We can right-click directly in the value column on any number and choose value field settings. Or also when we right-click, we can hover the summarize value by and choose what we need. Let's put it back as sum of values and then format those numbers. Right-click on any number in the pivot table. We choose number format and not format cells. Format cells will only format the selected cells, while number format will format all the values and keep the formatting even after refreshing or expanding your data. I choose number category, use the 1000 separator and click OK. I have now a nice looking number formatting. Let's add region filter. I drag and drop my region field in the filters section. A filter is added on top of my pivot table. I can choose one value, or if I check the multi-select checkbox, I can choose multiple values. Let's clear the filter and bring region to column section. Our pivot table took the regions and put them as column headers and summarized their respective value in the pivot table. We can also add another level of analysis. Let's put product name under customers. And now we have subtotals. If we go to Design tab and look at Grand Total, we can turn off Grand Total for rows and columns, turn them on also by columns or by rows. We also have subtotal. We can put them on or off, or add them at the bottom or the top of each row. My personal preference is to go to Report Layout and then click on Show in Tabular Form. Then remove all subtotals. In that way, I have a column for each field, which makes it much easier to read. In Report Layout, I can also repeat all items. But I don't need that for now, so let's remove it. Once I added another level to my rows, those buttons appeared, allowing me to expand or collapse my view. I can also hide those buttons in the Pivot Table Analyze tab. We also can toggle the field list on or off, and also remove the field headers. I will let you explore those options by your own. Let's now reset all my pivot table to my desired report. I do so by dragging and dropping off the field in the pivot table fields, or unchecking them, or click on the small arrow and choosing Remove Fields. Then I want to change my column header. Let's change it to Sales USD. Since I have the same field, it will give me an error saying Pivot Table field name already exists. The workaround is to add a space at the end or at the beginning of the column header. Let's change the design of our pivot table. In the Design tab, I click on Pivot Table Styles and choose the design I like. I can also create my own design by clicking on New Pivot Table Style. If I want to sort my data, just right-click on any number in the value column, choose Sort, and sort it from largest to smallest, or from smallest to largest. Let's arrange the view of our table by expanding the first column width. How to refresh my data? We can do it from Data, Refresh All, or by right-clicking in the pivot table and choosing refresh. But my first column width has been reset. To keep the same column formatting after refreshing or expanding your data, right-click in the pivot table, choose pivot table options, uncheck auto-fit column width on update. Pivot table option is also available in the Pivot Table Analyze tab. To add the percentage of sales by customer, we will add another sales USD in the value section. We right-click on the new added column and choose Shows Value as percentage of grand total. Take your time also to check other possibilities. Then we rename our header to Sales USD %. To create our second report, let's select the full pivot table, copy it, Ctrl-C, and paste it, Ctrl-V. We already have a head start. The same formatting is applied as the first pivot table, cause Excel is using the same cache for both tables. I will remove customer name from the row section and change it with the category field. Then I will sort the values. To have a friendly usage of my report, I will use slicers. Let me right-click on the region field and add it as a slicer. A slicer shows up, and the slicer tab has been added. In the slicer tab, I will change the design or how many columns I want. But this slicer works only with this pivot table. To link with the second pivot table, I will click on the other pivot table, go to Pivot Table Analyze tab, click on Filter Connection, and check the box next to my slicer. Now it works just fine. I can also activate multi-selection. By clicking on this button Multi-Select, you can also use Ctrl to multi-select your filters. The other button is to clear the filter. Now let's expand our table with a new customer. I will copy the last 3 rows in my dataset and paste them at the bottom. Change the customer name to Mahmoud. Go back to my pivot table worksheet, right-click on any pivot table, select refresh. The new customer is automatically updated. To conclude, Pivot Table provided me with quick insights with almost no complex formulas, and it's so easy to use. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and press the like button. Don't forget to share your thoughts and question in the comment section below. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. See you in the next video on morethanexcel.com.